We're going to start with a slideshow. The one thing you should do at an event is prepare more. Okay.
We're going to lower the lights and things. And if you could each describe very briefly what each slide refers to.
Okay. Karen, this is your up.
Oh, apparently. That's the Fifi Awards for the Fragrance Foundation, the Dinner for 1,000. That's the Gotham Awards. Those are some cute guys on the red carpet at the Gotham Awards.
So scientific.
Yeah, that's the centerpiece for Children's Defense Fund. Ah, that is the Muppets Wizard of Oz rolling red carpet. They actually went along the red carpet in this bizarre thing that we made that rolled away. That's it.
Avi.
There's a before picture. That's after. It's a more open party. This was an event for New York City Opera in Lincoln Center. There were, I think, about 10,000 candles on scaffolding. Wow. This is the same space, actually, I think a year or two later. Just lots of paper lanterns and pink lights everywhere. This is the Whitney. Dinner for about 40 people from the same dinner. This is for the Robin Hood Foundation. It's at the Javits Center. These clouds are made of baby's breath.
Made of what?
Baby's breath. Yeah. It's from the same thing.
I need a cloud right now. I was hoping they weren't flowers. I need a cloud or something.
This is also for Robin Hood. This is Javits Center, just so you get an idea of a transformation. There's a lot of mirrors playing everywhere, so lots of kind of reflections of 3,000 people.
See, is invitations of things that I've worked on, because I sort of specialize in something called front of house, which is seating. So just to show you guys pictures of audiences would be really boring. So one of the events I worked on for Saks was a big launch event for a promotion called Wild About Cashmere, which was last fall. The Derailed premiere was one. I do a lot of movie premieres. Fashion Rocks is a huge concert that Condé Nast puts on at Radio City Music Hall, and we sat that. That was fun. War of the Worlds. We did a show when Leanne Womack, she actually won Album of the Year. The Country Music Awards came to New York, so we did a show for her when she got nominated. Lacoste, we do some fashion shows. Lacoste is one that we work with.
This is our Upfront, which is the most important event that we do every year, where we introduce the fall schedule to the advertisers, and they can buy advertising up front of everybody else. So that's why, and some people call it the scheduling announcement. The people from the West Coast call it the scheduling announcement. The people from the East Coast call it the Upfront. And we do it at Lincoln Center. And we have to sort of protect our area, so we decided to do some custom-made barricade covers. This was from the Super Bowl we just held in Detroit. Again, from the Super Bowl, which was in Detroit. So we were playing off of two things. First of all, football and tailgating. And then we got some antique cars from all three of the major car manufacturers who are our clients, and did the food stations around those. That was sort of the centerpiece of the ballroom for the opening night. This is the inside of the tent for the Upfront that we did last year. We have the largest bar in New York City. No, practically the largest bar in New York City. It's pretty much the entire length of the tent.
Good for sales.
And we had some custom-made cocktails because green and blue were our colors last year. And so as people walked in, it was just sort of the length of the tent where we had the wait staff with these silver trays with these customized cocktails. Food. And this, again, is from Super Bowl, and it's a big ice carving of a football player with our logos.
Great. Thank you. So I wanted to start off with what each panelist's opinion of why the event industry is so important to them, and why event design is now more strategy than it is just beautiful centerpieces. So Avi, do you want to just start with that?
Well,
And you can say anything you want either.
I don't think it ever was just centerpieces.
I know.
So that's for beginners. I mean, my philosophy about events in general, and really kind of doesn't matter what they are, is that they have to be special. And that's why they call them special events. I think if you walk into a room like that, you know, there's lots of beautiful people, but it's kind of normal. And it doesn't really, I think it's good to kind of transform people to a different place and set of mind. And at this point, they're also a little more open and receptive and just not so busy with their phones and things like that.
Brenda?
For us, I think that we create events that will make memories for our advertisers. I mean, that's over 70% of the events that my team does is for the sales department, and that's why we are housed within the sales department. We do other events as well for affiliates and for the news division and so forth. But even with the news division, most of it is sales driven. So it's to create a memory like with the Super Bowl that people remember, that ABC put on, the best Super Bowl, that kind of thing. And it also gives a chance for the sales department and our sales team to bond more with our clients, and they talk about these events for years. I mean, I'm still getting people saying, oh, I remember the Millennium event that you did, that kind of thing. So that's what's important to us.
Can you talk about, in advertising, value added in media? Because I think a lot of the stuff that you do is about value-added experiences for the advertisers, too?
Yes. Well, I guess a good example of that would be for the Millennium, where one of our salespeople, one of our senior salespeople decided that, you know, the Millennium's here and we need to make a big deal out of it. And he came up with this incredible on-air show or idea of a show, which was pretty much Peter Jennings was on air for close to 24 hours. I don't know if any of you remember it, but it was pretty amazing. And we also had the New Year's Eve starting in some little island in the South Pacific and then moving across to Australia. And we followed the New Year around the world, and Peter was anchoring it, and Barbara Walters was in Paris, and there were people all over the world. And we took over the Plaza Hotel, the dear old Plaza Hotel, and just created, I said it was the most expensive reason to watch television, but as part of buying a big package of advertising on the Millennium broadcast, each advertiser was given so many spots to entertain themselves, their clients, their top pharmaceutical salespeople, whatever they deemed the reason to use them.
Thanks. Karen, what is your philosophy on events? When you approach an event, what's the first thing you think about?
Well, I think, like Avi, design is a pretty critical one. I come from a theatrical background, sort of an avant-garde theater background, if you can believe it, where having an experience was sort of critical to how that all works. So when we started working on special events, it was about the various people having an actual experience rather than just saying, wow, I really love the color of that tablecloth. For me, I really wasn't able to really relate to that at all. And I still have a lot of actual trouble with some of those elements that, for me, if it doesn't really encompass a full experience, I'm like, I really don't care if there's flowers or tablecloth or anything. They might not be necessary at all. I also think everyone here probably understands that events are usually part of a bigger picture for almost every organization that the event is taking place for, whether that's fundraising, whether it's a marketing strategy. It's generally not a purely standalone element, and it's part of an organization's, whether it's yours or someone else's, bigger plan. So you have to be able to work that into the concept as well, so that you understand what your client is trying to get at. Are they trying to sell something? Are they trying to meet new people, brand their product? There's various other things that they might be trying to do, but you need to be able to figure that out, and that needs to be part of the experience. So you need to, it can't just be about, it's so beautiful. Are they trying to sell you something? And there's lots of different elements, but it's not just about the event for most clients.
All of you, I'm sure, went to event planning school. The question is, of course, nobody did. Nobody did. The question is, how do you get in this industry? You're an architect, you're in theater, and you were in conventions and politics and everything.
I was in
why are you in this industry? And what got you here? You want to just start, Karen?
Well, I
You
was
want to start
very
again?
tired of eating beans and rice and spaghetti, which I ate for 5 straight years when I first moved to New York. I mean, avant-garde theater was a lot of fun, but boy, it did not pay the bills. And during that time, people started to hire me to do like little things here and there. And
What was your first job? And
it was an IFP, independent feature project job. I was a production manager on something, which, I mean, and it just sort of started like that. And then I took on a few more clients, and then it became a business, and voila, here I am.
Avi, how did you get into this?
Well, let's see. I was doing painting for a long time and supporting myself painting until I started painting things I couldn't support myself doing. And I did a little waiting on tables, and I was looking for something else to do. I started doing flowers for my restaurant, was the first place, and then a little bit here and there. I fell from flowers into the whole event design and planning just by being really opinionated, I think, and kind of caring about everything that was going on. So, you know, often there wasn't really a party planner, so I kind of just had to do it. And other times, like I said, I was just really opinionated and said, no, it has to be like this and not like that. So.
Dina?
Well, for me, I was pre-med, and
another-
I was a math and
Another
chemistry
path.
double major, and I killed myself in school. I always had to study, and I was watching, there's a show on television called Fashion Television that
From
was
Canada.
from out of Toronto, and I saw a woman named Fern Malice. I don't know if any of you know her. She's and I saw her interviewed on TV, and I said, I have to move to New York and work for that woman.
That is awesome.
I said to my parents, I want to move to New York and put on fashion shows, and they looked at me like I was high. They're like, what do you
Were
mean?
you?
I mean, especially but no, I wasn't. I should have been. And because especially, you know, in Toronto at the time, you had a path. Like if you can't go to school to be it, then you shouldn't be it. You know, it's sort of like you had to. If there was a program, then that's what you could be. And so it was like, what do you mean you go put on fashion? Like, what does that mean? And oddly enough, Jeannie Becker, who was the host of the show, my mom ran a day camp, and I was Jeannie's, both her kids' counselors. And I called her up, and I said, I have to call Fern and say, you told me to call, I want to move to New York and work for her. And she said, oh yeah, like I'm going to be the one that your family blames for not being an actor. Forget it. And I begged her, and she said, fine. And I called Fern, and I said, I'm moving there. And luckily they had a spot open, and I fell into it. And it was just much like camp with bigger and skinnier people.
Yeah.
It was the same, you know.
It totally is. We're both Canadian, and I was a camp counselor for like 10
You
years.
have to be if you're Canadian.
Yeah. And it's so true, yes.
But it's very much like when you're running an event, it's very much like, you know, whether you're organizing a group of 6-year-olds or they're bigger people, it's, you know, it's a counselor, you're a counselor.
I often say, buddy up.
Dinner for about 40 people from the same dinner. This is for the Robin Hood Foundation. It's at the Javits Center. These clouds are made of baby's breath. Baby's breath? Yeah. From the same thing.
I need a cloud right now. I was hoping they weren't flowers. I need a cloud or something.
This is also for Robin Hood. This is Javits Center, just so you get an idea of a transformation. There's a lot of mirrors playing everywhere, so lots of kind of reflections of 3,000 people.
See, is invitations of things that I've worked on, because I sort of specialize in something called front of house, which is seating. So just to show you guys pictures of audiences would be really boring.
We're going to start with a slideshow. The one thing you should do at an event is prepare more. Okay.
We're going to lower the lights and things. And if you need to describe very briefly what each slide refers to.
Okay. Karen, this is your up.
Oh, apparently. That's the Fifi Awards for the Fragrance Foundation. Dinner for 1,000. That's the Gotham Awards. Those are some cute guys on the red carpet at the Gotham Awards.
So scientific.
Yeah, that's the Centerpiece for Children's Defense Fund. Ah, that is the Muppets Wizard of Oz rolling red carpet. They actually went along the red carpet in this bizarre thing that we made that rolled away. That's it.
Avi.
There's a before picture. That's after. It's a Moroccan party. This was an event for New York City Opera in Lincoln Center. There were, I think, about 10,000 candles on scaffolding. This is the same space, actually, I think a year or two later. Just lots of paper lanterns and pink lights everywhere. This is the Whitney.